I want to do a short video on picking out chainsaw chains that last. There's dozens of videos on YouTube which tell how fast a chainsaw will cut through wood, and I know there's comparisons showing the difference in speed. And these are completely irrelevant to what you need to be looking at when picking a chainsaw. Cutting speed might save 1 second on a 12-inch diameter piece of wood. So just don't look at it. Those videos are an absolute joke. What you need to be looking at is durability. You need to consider your engine size of your chainsaw and what you're going to use it for. Now you also have these issues of yellow versus green. You'll find the yellow label, which has danger of kickback, green, which is a lower danger of kickback. And, when push comes to shove, if you can get a green one with everything else equal, choose the safer one. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you really don't get the good quality in the green ones unless you really search, and it might not be available for your chain size. So the second issue is full chisel versus semi-chisel. Now, a lot of people say that, the full chisel cuts faster, and again, it's only 1 second. It isn't going to make enough difference in a day of work to amount to anything. And the full chisel dull faster than the semi-chisel. All things equal, try to get the semi-chisel. You'll have something that'll stay sharper longer. Anti-vibration. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, all things equal, choose one that is anti-vibration. Makes it a little bit easier to work throughout the day. So what do you do to find a chain? You need to find a professional grade chain. What are the indicators of a professional grade chain? First, find one that's pre-stretched. You look at this label, it says pre-stretched for less adjustment. That's what you really need to look for. That shows they're trying to make them for sawyer professionals. You want a pre-stretched chain is a good indication, but not the only indication. You should also look for chrome tips and hardened steel. Specific statement of what kind of steel they use, because you want something that's going to be durable and last and not have to be sharpened. Obviously, name brands are the way to go. The top ones are Husqvarna, Steel, and Carlton. But you can also find Oregon products that are good. Unfortunately, on the internet, you often find these reviews saying the best chainsaw is Oregon Advanced Cut. And that is just nuts. Advanced Cut. I've went through so many of those. They just don't last. They're made of a soft metal and they're labeled for occasional use. They're not professional grade. And yet again and again you'll have these reviews saying Advanced Cut is the #1 recommendation. They probably are the safest chain because they're all green labels. But here's a number. These are called X-Grind or Power Cut. Those chains generally last a long time and do a very good job of holding up. They are yellow label and higher risk of kickback. Now the other thing is Oregon. They have like 10 different brands of chain. Some of them are labeled 2 or 3 different ways, even though they're exact same model number. Go and read what it says, and their descriptions are fairly accurate. I do know that the Power Cut are full chisel, and they do last very well if you can get them in the right size for your application. They have one type of chain that's made for dirty applications. So if you're cutting cedar trees out in a sandy pasture, that's a good way to go. You also have these Chinese knockoffs that you can find on eBay. Holes Forma and a number of other non-labeled brands. Some people swear by Holes Forma, say that they're actually as good or better, and their steel is so hard it's hard to sharpen, but they have a real bad problem with quality control. So, buyer beware. You can get them cheap. If you happen to get some good ones, it's a bargain. Now the final thing is carbide. And here's my recommendation for the person that doesn't like to change chains. Get a carbide. Steel makes a carbide tipped chain that you can generally get for about $60. So it's double or triple what you would normally buy a steel chain for. But if you only want one chain and you want to go out there and have it last 4 times longer, the carbide tipped steel is well worth the money. For $60 and not have to swap it out 4 times, I think it's a good deal that you have to have special tools to sharpen them. But if you hit sand and rocks and dirt and in a lot of dirty environment where, like some people cut cedar trees in pastures, which is my application, you pick up a lot of dirt and occasionally nip a rock, and you're a lot better off with a carbide tip. the extra money is a good deal. So there's my recommendations. Don't rely on what's hanging on the shelf at a big box store. Do your research. And generally, you're going to have to order online to get something that works for you. Don't be afraid of Oregon, but make sure you select the right product, because the highly recommended advanced cut really isn't very good.